For this video, I'll be making a pretty common sand compression and walking you through the steps and thinking you need to have when building a sand compression. I'm going to be making this from scratch so you can see my failures, and I'll show you how I diagnose a problem and solve it. In front of me, I have 5 cobwebs, and 19 sand will fall into each of these cobwebs, compressing 195 sand, and then additionally 5 sand will push the entity sand stuck in this cobweb into the barrel, and TNT will go off and the sand will fly into one block, compressing 100 sand. So we'll be making 100 sand compression. You can expand this universally to build a 255 sand compression, or you can build a 1 sand compression, but it's a little bit overkill, but the idea is still the same. We'll be putting pistons back here, and I'll demonstrate how the sand is pushed out. You'll have a sand block here in order for this to work. A sand entity will be stuck in the web. The pistons will push it out, and it'll be in the barrel. As you can see, 2 sand fell. And you're probably wondering why we don't just have pistons pushing it out directly. And the reason for that, the way Minecraft works is sand will be stuck in the web still, because the piston arm is an entity, I'm pretty sure. But it doesn't work unless you pulse it multiple times. So we're going to be using a sand block. I'm going to break this for now. Perfect. I'll be extending this 4 down, and I'll build our barrel. It's going to be 4 high. There's nothing special about the number 4. I'm just used to working with it. You can probably make this 3 high, but for simplicity's sake, we'll be making it 4. I'll turn this into glass so you can see. Whoops, not set. And these bottom 2 layers of glass aren't necessary, but a lot of canners like to have them just in case. We'll put a top to our barrel, and it's complete. This sand can be stacked infinitely high. I know the cap is 255, but it doesn't really matter. The only important sand is this bottom layer. For now, I'm just going to stack it up 20. Now what we need to do is we need to add a booster. So the TNT will be here. And this will push the sand into the barrel, which will be over here. I'll build that later. I'll be building this like it's vanilla Minecraft, so I'll water this properly. I'll put ladders here and ladders here. And that will not blow up. The best way to power these dispensers is place a block here and redstone here, and they're all powered. And I'll TNT fill this. I'll demonstrate this with a button. And as you can see, it all went off. You'll have to take my word for it on the other 3 dispensers. For this top part here, in order to get sand into these cobwebs, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to use a piston, and it will be extended, and it will be on with redstone. For now, I'm just going to have this powered with a redstone block. We'll power it with the torch later on. And I'm going to stack this 18 high rather than... So this is 19 high, and 19 by 5 is 195. The final 5 is 95, and the final 5 sand is being pushed out from here, and then we'll make it 100. And we'll make this all sand. And for the top, I just like to put blocks so I know where my limit is. I'm going to copy this for later so that it will make placing the sand so much easier. And right now we have everything built. We just have to add the redstone and the timings. So the first thing we want to happen is we want these pistons to attract so that the sand falls into the web. Then we want these dispensers to go off so that TNT is primed. After about 39 ticks or so, we want these pistons to push out, and then this TNT will go off, and all the sand will be compressed into one block. That's the plan. We're going to grab a repeater, and I'm just going to put that there for right now. The best way to power these pistons is to do this. You put blocks here, and you put blocks here. And we'll put 3 blocks off to the side, a repeater here, a redstone here, and a redstone here. And I'll demonstrate this right now. As you can see, the pistons retracted perfectly fine, and the sand was pushed out perfectly fine. I'll leave the sand up there empty for now. It doesn't make a difference, as I said before. Now all we have to do is push this about 39 ticks after this TNT is primed. So we'll count this out. It's about 10 repeaters. 5, 6, 7. And you know what? We're going to do it this way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 10. Perfect. There's much better ways of pulse lengthening these pistons, but for now, for simplicity's sake, we're going to be doing it this way. So these all need to be at 4 ticks. And this will be 40 ticks in total. If you count this one, which we will, it'll be 41. If we count this, we're going to subtract it from this 41 because these two will cancel each other out, so 40. I'm going to be placing a redstone here. I'm going to block it off so that it doesn't affect these two, and I'll do that. So 40 ticks, we need to be about 39, so we're going to make this 3 ticks rather than 4. Perfect. Now what we need to do for our first step, since this is all good and ready to go, we can actually test this right now. And after about 40 ticks, the sand will go flying out. I don't have a block or a wall right there, so it's just going to fly randomly. And I'm actually going to set one up right now. So as you can see right now, we're already having a problem. It's looping, and that's an easy fix. As you can see, this is powering this redstone, and that's solved. I'm actually going to bring this down one so that we don't have that problem anymore. And we can break these repeaters. Now it should work perfectly fine. I'm going to remove the sand in here before I hit that. Place blocks here. And we can try this now. Perfect. So that should be 5 sand. I already have sand in my inventory, so... Yep, that was 5, because I broke 2 and then 3 went in my inventory, so we're good. And we can fix this. The piston's pushed out the glass. There we go. Furthermore, now that this part is done, all we have to do is just retract this sand so that it falls into the web, and then we're good. So the best way to power this is, because there's ladders here, so nothing will go in between, we can put a torch here. And since this isn't anything fancy, I'm just going to put blocks like this in a staircase fashion. Perfect. We're going to be using a comparator pulse lengthener. This will be 4 comparators in total. Redstone here. And the way that comparator pulse lengtheners work is if there's a block here, they actually last a little bit longer if there was just a redstone. So this will work because there's a block here. Keep that in mind. And we actually want to power this first, and then we want to power this later. Because if we power them at the same time, the sand won't have enough time to fall down completely, and it'll just be a jumbled up mess. So we want this to power up first. So if we have our button here, it's going to take 1, 2, 3 ticks to power that. So we're going to need about 3 ticks powered here, so it's not an issue. I'm actually going to put a repeater here, so it's about 4 ticks now, and we're going to power it from here. And we'll do this. I just like that to look good. And then we'll put our button here. And that should be fine. It's important to note that I put a repeater here. If you don't have that repeater there, the length of this wire will be too short and it will go out early, so you have to have this repeater here, as well as this block, otherwise the pulse lengthener will not work. This should be a working sand compression, and we'll test that right now. Press this button. Oh my god, it actually worked perfectly. So as you can see, the sand went up a little bit. That won't be an issue when I put a block right here, and it should all stay in that barrel. Now, if we're going to be shooting this twice, and what I mean by that is, say you have, instead of this being your barrel, let's say this over here is your barrel. And you're going to be aligning it on this wall. Then we'll have to have another booster which will shoot it into this barrel. And this is pretty common in many cannons I see. So just in case your cannon does do this, I'll be building a booster to demonstrate this. Again, it'll be survival friendly. Since we can't have ladders here, but we can have ladders here, we're going to have to put our dispensers back to. I'm going to grab dispensers over here. And you'll see what I mean. If they were right here, you can see there's nowhere to put the ladders, as it would mess up the sand being shot there, so they have to be back here. I'll grab ladders, place blocks here, place ladders here. We have to put water in there. And that is survival friendly. It'll stay in there perfectly. And again, we'll be doing the corner redstone. And all we have to do is we have to power this about 1 or 2 ticks after this first booster. So we can actually come here. We're going to come around. And we have to put a repeater here. If this is a redstone, it'll only power this dispenser, and these 3 dispensers. It won't power these 2. It's important that we have a repeater here, and then it will power all the dispensers. So that's 1 tick. Since it's coming off this main line, we have to keep in mind that 4 ticks, 5 ticks. So this TNT is going off after 5 ticks. This is going off after 1. We want this to be about 6 or 7. 7 to be safe. So I'll just put 4 right here. That's 4, 5, 6, 7. And that should be good. It gives it enough time for the sand to get over there. And we'll try the sand compression. I forgot to TNT fill it. That's my bad. And we need to put sand back into the compression. As you can see, it worked beautifully. Also, if you're paying close attention, you can see that these 2 glass, there's 2 rather than this just being 1. It's because the sand is being pushed out here, so this glass will stop it from being pushed out any farther, and then this glass prevents the sand from flying out when TNT affects it. And the reason this is 1 high is because all the sand from this barrel should be going right here into this top corner, and then this TNT will power it and keep it within this top block. And then it'll be here. And depending on how high your barrel is, or if you have a guider, you could put slabs, say here, which is, I've been recommended not to use slabs as a guider, but rather full blocks, because that seems to be better and more TNT efficient. So 4 high is pretty safe, and then you can put your hammer about 5 high. And that should work perfectly. So that's a sand compression. I'm going to run through it quickly again so that you can get a quick refresher of what's happening. So in the beginning, these pistons are retracting and all the sand falls into these cobwebs. This TNT goes off a few ticks afterwards. This booster's TNT goes off a few ticks after that booster's TNT. After about, say, 39 ticks of about after this TNT is fired, Then these pistons will go off, pushing the sand and all the sand entities in the webs into this barrel. The sand will fly because the TNT pushes it into this barrel, and then this TNT will push the sand into this barrel, which will be your main barrel with your hammer, your propulsion, and all of that. And that's your sand compression.